The sun hasn't quite broken the horizon yet. The air is cold enough to see your breath, and the only sound is the rhythmic tink-tink-tink of a cooling engine. Most people see a motorcycle and imagine a pack, a thundering group of riders, a leather-clad brotherhood, a collective roar. They see the club and the rally. But for a specific kind of rider, usually older, usually more seasoned, that image has lost its luster. They aren't looking for a pack. They aren't looking for a conversation. They are looking for the exact opposite. To the outside world, the solo rider looks lonely, perhaps even a bit antisocial, but they are looking at the surface. They don't see that inside that helmet, a profound psychological recalibration is taking place. It is not a flight from something, but a journey towards something. It is about the reclamation of the self in a world that refuses to leave us alone. We live in the era of total connectivity. We are tethered to the world by 1,000 digital threads, emails, alerts, expectations, and the constant low-grade hum of other people's opinions. This creates a state of cognitive overload, where the self is constantly being negotiated in relation to the group. In our younger years, we seek the group. We look for the pack because it offers validation. We want to be seen, to be part of the brotherhood, to prove our worth through the shared aesthetic of the ride. But as we age, the psychology shifts. The social reward of the group ride begins to feel like social labor. The logistics of the pack, the planning, the waiting, the compromises on speed and destination, become a microcosm of the very life the rider is trying to escape. For the older rider, the solo journey is the only place left where they are not a husband, a father, a boss, or a citizen. They are simply a point of consciousness moving through space. There is a long, quiet history of the solitary wayfarer. In medieval Japan, there were the komuso, monks who wore straw baskets over their heads to detach from their ego as they traveled. In the West, we have the archetype of the stoic nomad, the individual who finds virtue not in the city, but in the wilderness. The motorcycle is the modern version of the monastic cell. Unlike a car, which is a room on wheels designed for conversation and climate control, a motorcycle is an exposure machine. You are vulnerable to the wind, the rain, and the heat. This vulnerability is precisely the point. Historically, humans have used physical hardship and solitude as a gateway to transcendence. When the older rider chooses to ride alone, they are participating in a tradition of voluntary exile. They are rejecting the modern comfort of the connected crowd in favor of the older, harsher, and more honest reality of the unfiltered world. At the heart of the solo ride is a concept known as autotelic activity. This is an action that is its own reward. There is no destination, no trophy, and, most importantly, no audience. When you ride in a group, part of your brain is always occupied with limbic resonance, unconsciously monitoring the positions and moods of the riders around you. Solitude removes this burden. It allows for a state of attentional narrowing. Inside the helmet, the world shrinks to a few critical variables: the grit on the asphalt, the lean of the bike, the pressure of the wind. This creates what psychologists call a flow state, but with a specific, mature twist. It is not the high adrenaline flow of the racer. It is the meditative flow of the craftsman. There is also the principle of temporal autonomy. As we get older, we become acutely aware that our time is finite. To wait for another rider at a gas station is no longer just a minor inconvenience. It is a literal theft of the few remaining, pure hours we have left. The solo rider is a time owner. They stop when they see a view. They turn when they see a road. They are practicing the rare art of being entirely unaccountable to anyone but the machine. Today, the right to be disconnected is under siege. Best modern motorcycles are being built with Bluetooth intercoms, GPS displays, and group chat capabilities. The industry is trying to turn the ride into just another platform for social interaction. Society views the person who wants to be off the grid as a problem to be solved. We are told that sharing the experience is what makes it real. If you didn't post the photo, did the ride even happen? If no one saw you hit that perfect curve, does your skill still exist? The older solo rider answers with a quiet yes. They are resisting the commodification of experience. They are protecting a wordless knowledge, a physical competence that does not need a like to be valid. In a world of performative living, the solo ride is an unperformative act. It is a secret kept between the rider and the road. But this creates a sense of internal locus of control, the deep-seated belief that your value comes from within, not from the consensus of the pack. If you're enjoying these deep dives into the hidden psychology of everyday choices, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. We spend most of our lives trying to belong. We join groups, we adopt labels, and we seek the safety of the crowd. But as the shadows get longer, we begin to realize that the most important journey is the one we take alone. The motorcycle is not a way to get somewhere else. It is a way to get back to who you were before the world told you who you should be. It is a tool for stripping away the noise until only the essential remains. In the silence of the solo ride, you aren't running away from your life. You are finally showing up for it. You are discovering that the road doesn't care about your titles or your achievements. It only cares about your presence. If this idea of quiet reclamation resonates with you, you might also love our earlier video, The Psychology of People Who Restore Old Motorcycles. It explores a very similar theme, how working with machines can become a path back to yourself. So, as you look at the crowded paths and the busy circles of your own life, the groups that demand your time and the voices that demand your attention, ask yourself, when was the last time you were brave enough to be the only person in the room? And find that, for the first time in years, you were finally in good company. If these explorations of the quieter side of human psychology speak to you, please subscribe and leave a comment below with your own thoughts and let me know. Do you prefer riding with the pack, or do you crave the silence of the solo road? It really helps the channel grow.